So what this session is going to be about is tips and tricks with Max. Some of them will be techniques, some will be features that you might not know about. We'll get in a little bit into some shortcuts with scripting. So let's go ahead and get started. And this is a file here by C2 for military simulation. And I've got a couple of tanks in this scene. And actually what I'm going to show you here is I'm going to show you a tool in Max that a lot of people don't know about, and it's a Max script in the examples folder called LOD Tester. And what this is, if I come and select all the tanks in the scene, there's several different versions of LODs for this object. And if I add all these to the list, I can come in and say display the current LOD, and I can cycle through all of these and I can see them all at once. This is something that you already have installed in Max if you're using it. And so just run this script and you'll be able to see it. Another cool thing about it is it works between testing like a high-res model and its normal mapped version. You can kind of pop back and forth between the two and you can see just how different it's looking. You can also hook up a camera to it and put in my maximum camera distance here. And now I can move my camera back and I can see it switching at its different distances. So if I come in here and rotate this camera a little bit, you can see there's a gun on the end of that tank, and you can see it go away. There it goes. And it's switching. You can see it switching right here through the list. So this is actually a really, really cool tool, and it's really easy to use. And many people don't know that it exists. It works for a lot of things, not just LODs, but just being able to switch back and forth between your models. So let's go look at another one. This is a file here. This is a character from Ubisoft 13, and we appreciate them letting us use some of their content. And what I'm going to show with this is a couple of different modeling techniques. One thing that's going on here in this scene is I have an editable mesh and I have an editable poly. And I'm going to explain a little bit about the differences between the two. And we're going to look at some of the edit poly modeling techniques and some of the tools that are in that feature that a lot of people don't realize. So first let's talk about the differences between edit mesh and edit poly. One of the big things is the way that they deal with textures. So for instance, if I come in and grab this editable mesh here, we'll be able to go and make some changes. So let's go ahead and go into vertex mode here. And I have on my large verts in my scene. I've enlarged them just so that you can see them a little bit better. But I'm just going to go somewhere where there's some texture. This guy has a shader on him, actually. If we come in and scroll around, you can see his chin, the outline goes away, comes back, goes away. This is just an effects file loaded into Max. So his texture also makes him look cel shaded. And if we come in here and just go in and do a collapse on this, you can see what's going on with the texture there, and that's what happens when you're with the editable meshes. Now, if we go in, let's see if I can grab this here, pull this back, and go to the same model here in editable poly. Grab these 2 points where we've got some texture, and I'm just going to collapse these, and you can see the difference that makes on the texture there. So you see the shoulders here. Editable poly deals a lot better with texture coordinates, and it also gives you a couple of extra little shortcuts. Now, some of you might say, well, I want to be able to see my tries. I want to be able to see how my tries are laid out as I'm modeling and all that kind of stuff. And a good way to do that is just come in and put a turn to mesh on top of your model. So let's actually do that. But before I do, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to grab a selection of this. So let's just grab this selection. I'm going to get the shoulder and the arm. And I'm going to come into my tools here. And I'm going to grab this selection and I'm going to copy it and just add a new map channel in here. And I'm going to paste this into the map channel. And this is just my selection. I'm just going to call this arm, shoulder. And I'm just going to store that selection in there temporarily so that I can get back to that when I'm finished. So let's go in here. Now you can see I've got all this stuff on the stack. This is my copying and pasting and stuff like that. And I'm just going to come in here and just go back to an editable poly for now. And then we'll put the turn to mesh. And let's go down here and get it. Now turn to mesh, if we go into our edge mode, you'll see that I can turn off use invisible edges, and I can see my tries. And I can go down in the stack, and I can see my tries and still use all of my edit poly tools. And I can watch as it retriangulates for what I'm doing. So in this case, if I want to come in here and cut something, on him, we'll just come in here and cut a shape here for under his eye. And you can see as it retriangulates what it's doing. So if you want to go in there and make any of those changes, you can. I can come in here to the mesh version here. I need to go into edge mode and just do some dividing, and then come in here and do some turning. And you can see that something like this is actually a little bit more effort to go in and do all this, and I still got to go back and make this edge visible and make some of the other ones invisible if that's what I want. With Edit Poly, you just come in and grab edges and remove them to make them invisible, and cut them. You add them to make them there, and remove them to make them go away. So like in this particular case, let's go ahead and turn off this turn to mesh for now. I'm going to go in here and select some of these edges, and as you can see, when I have edges selected, I can remove them, and with the remove button right here, and they just go away. And the faces will retriangulate. If I have turn to mesh on, I can see what it's doing. In this case, I'm going to go in here and put turn to mesh on, and we're going to grab these edges right here. Let's go get these. And I'm going to remove them. And you can see that, oops, didn't get those. So remove these. And what I'm doing now is I'm removing them with a hotkey. Backspace actually removes your edges. So as you're modeling, backspace is a really fast shortcut to go around and pop off all these edges, backspace, 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 to get rid of edges in an editable poly. Another hotkey that a lot of people don't realize is the conversion. So for instance, if I come in here and I have a conversion, let's go in here and I'm going to collapse this guy. And we'll get, actually, you know what I'm going to do? See if I can get these. I'll make a teapot here and go into, if I grab this and I create a face, I can grow this, and then I can hold down Control and convert my vertex selection here. So I've converted from my face selection to vertexes. If I go back here and I grab these faces, I can hold down Control Shift, and it's inclusive. So only the verts that are a member of the selected faces on all sides are going to get this. So so there's two different ones, Control and Control Shift. Make modeling a whole lot faster for stuff like this. So let's go back to the model and take a look at some of the other stuff. Let's go in and get our slice tools. I'll go into Editable Poly here, and I'm going to come in and choose to slice it. And so let's just go into edge mode here, and I'm going to do my quick slice. And my quick slice is just going to let me pop a slice plane in here. Now, what I'm using this for is I'm just going to undo it, and I'm going to go in and bring up my slice plane. And notice my slice plane appears exactly where my quick slice put it. So a lot of times when you want to be able to do something specific, like in this case, I want to nudge the slice plane around with my arrow keys, and I want to get it right into the position that I want it to be. Slice plane, when you turn it on, always goes to the pivot point of the object. Then you've got to move, rotate, and get it to where you want it to be. So the quick slice puts it right where you want it. Then you can undo that and go get your slice plane and start working. And then you can keep popping it around like that really easily. So so that's another shortcut for that. Another thing that's kind of interesting too is the ability to come in and rotate with your snaps. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some verts in here, and I'm going to turn on my lock shortcut, and I'm going to go ahead and rotate these around. And you can see that I'm rotating verts around a local pivot. I can jump around, my pivot point, move that to the center, rotate that around. But what you really want to do is be able to use snaps to do that. And when I turn on my snaps, which will be turned on right up here, now I can come in and go to our snap settings here, and I'm going to put this on vertex. And now I can pick any vertex here on the model, and I can rotate around that. So with soft selection on, I can very quickly come in and pose my characters, change their poses, and rotate around any pivot. If we come in and look, you can see now I'm rotating it around this pivot. And another thing, too, is that you can come in and lock your axis. So, for instance, you see how it's highlighting wherever I choose it? If I click here, it's going to actually lock it to that axis right there. So now it's locked to that axis no matter where I go. If I come over here and click on the red axis, which is X, then you can see I can come in and do that. So things like this, and I can come and adjust my model all over. This works with faces, and of course, with snaps on, you can pivot around anything. So you can pivot around grid points or faces or edges or anything like that. So if you're laying down levels using Max as a level editor, it's really cool to come in and use snaps. And snap override actually helps a lot with that too. Snap override comes up with a shift key. So while you have something in your hand, a snap in your hand, I'll come in and grab something again, and let's just grab some edges here. And I actually have my lock, which is what's up with me. And I can come in now and I can grab them by a vert. And then I can go to my override and I can choose now that I want to choose edge. And then what's going to happen is when I put them down, I'm snapping them to an edge. So I've grabbed them by the vert and put them down by the edge. And so that means that, you can pick up when you're rigging characters and you're trying to align, bones to other, the ends of other bones where it's not the pivot point, it's the vert. So you want to grab it by the pivot point and align it to the vert and do things like that, and you can snap things around really easily. Snap override is something a lot of people don't know about.